anxiety on building confidence in different areas of life. I was coaching a guy on the weekend on Saturday, and I really liked the line that he used. He said that when he's at work, he's been choosing the hardest options, socially speaking, on purpose. And it's really helped him to get more confident with people. For example, so there's a water cooler just down the corridor from his office. And normally he would wait until the coast is clear, there's no one around. So he'd be hearing a conversation going on, wait until it's completely finished, leave the office, fill up his water bottle, and return back, avoiding people. But he's changed this pattern. And when he actually wants to go and get some water, and there's people there having a chat, he knows there's people out and about, that's when he chooses to leave. When he chooses to put himself in that situation where there's a bit of awkwardness, a bit of tension, where it feels uncomfortable. And he's been choosing the hardest option in all the situations in which he possibly can. And it's really made a tangible difference. Another phrase which means the same thing that I've heard from a different client that resonated with me. It was run towards resistance. There's something that you're avoiding in the situation. Start to move towards that thing. Maybe you're afraid of showing your face in public. Maybe you're afraid of getting some kind of negative judgment from someone when you're walking around. So what you do is you purposely show your face in public. You purposely let yourself be seen. Let yourself get noticed and judged. Fear is so smart. You can't outthink it. You can't counteract your fears by just thinking. It doesn't work like that. And there's a place for challenging beliefs. I'm a big fan of that in my coaching. But real world evidence and facing fears, this is how you reduce your experience of fear and anxiety in a particular situation. It's exposure therapy. And exposure therapy 100% works when done correctly. And in my own journey, when I moved to university at the age of 18, 12 years ago now, I was a mess with social anxiety. I had to get a lot of exposure therapy from a fear facing and relaxation point of view, and also to teach myself social skills. So, from a skill set and competency perspective as well. And maybe you find a fear too scary to go and face completely. If that's the case, you don't need to face it in one go. It is also about listening to your body and behaving in a way that is appropriate for you right now. Just taking that next step. So perhaps there's a fear over here and you're currently here. You can't quite bring yourself to completely face that fear, to meet it head on. Okay. Well, how can you get a little bit closer? Can you step closer to the fear, even if you back out, but you're stepping towards it? That's progress as well. To back out of facing a fear, you had to first put yourself in a situation where there was a possibility of you facing that fear. You obviously didn't back out of putting yourself in that situation. And there's no shame in backing out several times on different occasions before you eventually face that fear. When I was 18, I'd watch all these YouTube videos on overcoming social anxiety, dating stuff as well, areas of my life where I felt completely alien. And I'd walk around in public trying to push myself to talk to people. And the first step that I learned online was ask someone for directions all the time. So I'd walk around prepared to do this, psyched up. And the first time I went out, I was out for 4 hours, didn't speak to a single person. For me at that time, too much anxiety. Too overwhelming, was like, I just can't do it. But I went back several times more, and eventually I asked one person for directions. Cool. Kept on going, kept pushing myself, and then suddenly it became easier. But I had to go through that process where I backed out of facing fear, so to speak, to get comfortable in that environment until I was ready to really face the fear. And something I've learned coaching other people is that with enough patience and the right opportunity, somebody always overcomes that fear and takes action in a moment. As long as they don't doubt themselves, as long as they don't let that self-talk get in the way and crush them, they always find a way to get over that. Whether the fear is joining a social group at some sort of event and you're nervous about going over there, be patient with yourself and trust in your timing. Even if it takes you 10 minutes to join a group, that's still a victory. And every time you win the battle of you versus your own resistance, part of your mind and your nervous system gets the message that it was a victory for you versus fear. You can treat fear as a sparring partner, as an opponent. Every single time you step up there and face fear, you earn a point, and that point does count. It's a real valid point, and when you keep earning that point time and time again, eventually it won't seem like such a big deal. So initially, I view it like there's like a hurdle, an energy hump between where you're at now and you facing a particular fear. Maybe the fear is you speaking more at meetings in work, and there's this kind of energy hump in the way, and you just can't bring yourself to overcome that hurdle and get yourself speaking. But it's okay because you're at the meetings. You're going to the right places. And one time you'll challenge yourself just to speak once. You'll have a plan of what to say, when to say it, and you'll find a way to speak that one time. Then you can challenge yourself the next time, the next time, the next time, until it becomes a habit. When it becomes a habit, you can challenge yourself to speak more often in that meeting. But you're only ever taking it one step at a time. And something that I've learned in life, kind of an analogy that I think helps people out, especially people with anxiety. You don't need to be thinking millions of steps ahead. In general, in life, you really don't. To build something amazing in your life, to build your dream lifestyle, become the person that you really want to be, You don't need to think that far ahead. So here's why. Bit of a tangent now. So I used to study biology, did a PhD actually, spent a long time while building the coaching business and making it a full-time thing. And I liked evolution. So if you think about like an eye, for example, eyes are highly sophisticated machines that work incredibly well. Genius, fantastic machines. How did the eye evolve? Well, it started off with an organ that could sense light and dark. That's basically the starting point. Then mutations happened, and when a mutation made that organ a little bit better, and it improved the fitness of the organism, its chances of surviving, its chances of reproducing, those mutations got kept. So any mutation that led to a slight improvement in that organ got kept. And then the new, slightly better organ experienced more mutations, and those other mutations, the ones which led to an improvement, were kept, and incrementally, bit by bit, small improvements were built on top of small improvements until eventually what was an organ that could just sense light and dark becomes an eye. So nature doesn't have a master plan for how things are going to turn out. That's not how evolution works. It works one step at a time, and there's no dead end. So small improvements to the fitness of a person, to the fitness of someone's lifestyle, they're not limited. You can keep on building. And what this means is that in your life, you don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to know the exact path you're going to take to get somewhere. There's obviously some logical factors. You might need to do certain courses to do certain careers. There is some logical factors because we live in a society. But in terms of personal growth, improvement, transformation, making your lifestyle better, achieving goals, there's an infinite amount of ways you can make progress, and you can incrementally step forwards, then incrementally step forwards again until you get to a place where you're really happy. And you can apply this principle when it comes to fear facing, because fear is the jailer that stops you from being yourself and connecting with people. If you didn't have the fear, you still had empathy, social skills, awareness, you still acted in an appropriate way. But the fear wasn't blocking you. You could be your best self in every social situation. And that includes work contexts as well. And you could have so much a much better time in life, go much further, fly much higher, achieve a lot more, be a lot less held back. And you can do this. You can go out there and build confidence with people, regardless of your starting point. There's a few people that I coach that have selective mutism, meaning that they may just speak once or twice a day, 1 or 2 words a day. So they're on the extreme end of quietness. And I used to have selective mutism in high school for quite some time. So I know what that's like personally. You can go from that stage to being the most confident person in a room. And that's a journey that's going to take time until you're the most confident person in the room. I should say that it's going to take time, but that is a journey that is possible to succeed in. And even if you realistically know that you've got a mountain climb to get to where you want to get to, start climbing that mountain. Even if it takes years, why not start now? Why put it off? Because if you've got to climb a mountain to get to where you want to get to, the mountain's not going to go away. The longer you delay it, the longer you're delaying overcoming it. And don't you think you would feel better knowing that you're on the journey, facing your fears, moving forwards, making progress, versus avoiding? And you can start really, really small. You can create a pyramid of your fears. So a pyramid, you draw a pyramid out, a nice pyramid shape. At the bottom is the lowest level fears you have. Situations that trigger a level of fear, but they don't completely overwhelm you, cripple you with anxiety, but they do make you feel nervous. Then as you go up the pyramid, every single layer is a situation or set of situations where there's a higher level of fear. And at the top, the top part of that pyramid is your biggest fear. And you can start at the bottom of this pyramid until you feel more comfortable with this lowest level of fear. Then you can move up to the next level of your fear pyramid until you get comfortable there. And a bit like a ladder, a bit like a staircase, there's stepwise progression. And there's a YouTuber and coach, a famous one, called Jeff Thompson. And he created this pyramid of fear in his own life. Top of the list, top of the pyramid, was facing his fear of physical confrontation. And when he worked up to this level, he was ready to face that. At this stage, he became a nightclub bouncer for quite some time in Coventry, and basically faced all his fears on this pyramid, which transformed him as a person, made him so much more confident, so much less anxiety, and he built this really successful coaching business on the back of his own transformation. And he'd been through a lot of stuff in the past, a lot of challenging things in his childhood and teenage years. So a fear pyramid, this is a great way to get more confident with people. But a great starting point for anybody. So if I'm coaching somebody who's got a lot of social anxiety, it's an in-person session, and it's not just a one-to-one over coffee, which is my main format of coaching. They instead want live social coaching. That's going to help them out the most. So a great starting point is to get them to go to stores and speak to staff members. They can start incredibly small. They can ask a staff member, do you know where the bathroom is? Do you know where the toothpaste is? Do you know where the menswear section is? They can ask these simple questions to staff members who are basically going to be friendly, going to be helpful. This can be a building block to help them practice initiation. And from there they can progress to follow-up questions, speaking to staff members, and when they get really confident, speaking to members of staff, turning transactions into interactions. They can start to speak to members of the public, asking for cafe recommendations, following up, improvising conversation. And as they build and practice, they're going to be in social groups, speaking more, holding their own, putting their opinions across, really listening, connecting with people, joining groups, and just getting comfortable expressing themselves in a way that's natural for them in a range of situations. And over time, these people just get more confident, more confident, more confident, more confident, learning boundaries as well, all these important skill sets. And it all starts with them running towards resistance choosing the hardest option, but incrementally. Facing fear in the right way, with progression, with mentorship, um, absolutely changes people's lives. And because I know that it's the practical, real world experience that's going to get someone the most value, the values in the conversations, the connections, the different experiences. This is why I'm going to be relatively soon doing virtual events. I do in-person events, and I still probably always going to think that in-person is the best. But virtual events still have a lot of potential to help people out. So I'm going to put on these virtual events. As soon as I get my full camera set up, lighting, all the rest of it sorted out, I can move from the phone to the quality setup. I'm going to be putting these virtual events on, free to attend for people with social anxiety on a regular basis. And you're going to get a lot more value from actually meeting people, different exercises, expressing yourself, getting that experience. You're going to get a lot more value from that than passively consuming content, because it's in the action taking and experiences that you get the transformation. It's a little bit like going to the gym and exercising. You don't get yourself into shape by thinking about getting into shape, by reading books and following this and that personal trainer on YouTube. That isn't how you get into shape. You have to put the work in. You have to go to the gym on a regular basis or exercise some other way. You have to eat healthy, get the right amount of sleep. And if you put the honest hard work in, you're going to get the results out. If you're not taking shortcuts, you're doing things properly, it's going to work out. It's the exact same thing with building social confidence. You can view yourself as a confidence athlete. You're out there doing your reps. You're facing your fears. You're building yourself up. And building confidence in this way is no different than going to the gym. You're going out there, taking action, putting the reps in, recovering, resting, and you're getting the results out. And you'll see yourself. Your confidence muscle will grow. What was once a challenging weight will feel like an easy weight, like public speaking, expressing yourself in a group, being assertive. They're all learnable skill sets. And as you're getting that experience and building the confidence, you're also going to get the life lessons and learn how to calibrate yourself so that you're very, very relatable to other people. You're not going to come across off key, and you're going to be able to fit in and really connect with people. You won't feel like an alien. You'll feel like you belong in different social circles. If you're looking for one-to-one coaching, or you want to check out my virtual events that are coming soon, or even come down to Birmingham and join one of my current events, whether it's a picnic, coffee social, anxiety workshop, so many things that I'm putting on, and just drop me an email. You can find my email on the homepage of my YouTube channel, and I'll be in touch with all the relevant details. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day and keep choosing the hardest option, running towards the resistance, and enjoy the growth that you're going to get from this approach.